What's up, everyone? Back to the BackMarkers F1 show here for our latest edition of the F1 Power Rankings. This is post-Mexican Grand Prix, round number 18 of the F1 World Championship. Only 3 more to go after this one. Rapidly coming to a close, so only 3 more editions of this Power Rankings. 4, excuse me.
We've been saying 3 all week, so
yeah, I'm a little bit ahead of myself there, but
we got to do the end of the year one too.
That's right. Good call.
Yeah,
Good call on that one. So I'm excited about this week's rankings because we have 2 new entries this week and a little bit of movement here and there. Mexico was a lot of drivers out of positions, a little bit of a dull race in the end, like we mentioned in our recap, a bit anticlimactic, but nonetheless, it has provided some movement in our list. So, Tyler, start us off in number 10 this week.
A new entry to our power rankings who has never made it into our power rankings top 10.
Even when he had a better car.
Correct. Yeah, he never has. And that is Pierre Gasly, who so far in these last 5 races has had 1 flu and 3 top 10 finishes. Had a great race in Mexico after battling, as I mentioned, the flu. But 3 top 10 finishes in the Toro Rosso, seems to be getting his groove back in that second sister car compared to where he was in the Red Bull. So nice to see him get his foot back, and he makes our top 10 for the first time.
Funny how he made it in a Toro Rosso, but not in
a Red Bull. Yeah.
Right? Who would have thought that when we first started the rankings and he was still at Red Bull?
Yeah, seriously.
And number 9, another new entry for us this week, and we are so excited to have this guy
finally
in our list. We've been waiting all year to put him in our list, but it's number 9, Daniel Ricciardo, the smiling man from Australia. He's got 1 top 5 finish, P6, which this was the controversial part of it for people at home that are screaming at their screens right now. He did get the disqualification in Japan, but that wasn't his fault. It was Renault's fault. So in our eyes, he's got the P6.
Technically, it was Racing
Point's. It's Racing Point's fault, but
yeah. But, anyways, long story. But we still count the P6, and he got the 8th in Mexico as well. And because it is the last 5 races, he's got the 4th place in Italy, which was a great result for him and Renault. And Ricciardo's that driver. We know he's capable of winning races, capable of getting pole positions, but it's all dependent on the car. What type of car is he going to have at Renault to get him in there? And that's why he hasn't been in our top 10. But we've seen the last couple of races, even in Singapore, he got 14th there, but he pulled off some great overtaking moves. Got the contact with Giovinazzi, which is why he finished outside of the top 10.
He sent it all weekend. So
he did send it all weekend.
Sent it, licked it, and sent it. Even sent it a little bit too far in turn 1. But, you got to do what you got to do. So happy to have Ricciardo in our list. Number 8. Sorry,
I guess we didn't give you that.
Cue you up there.
Sergio Perez. So he's had 5 straight points finishes in the last 5 races, and just gotten better and better since Italy. I want to say he's been improved every single race. He's had some great overtakes, some great defending against other drivers, and he's actually moved up 1 position from last week. So he's improving, and I said it in our recap of the last race that I see him winning a podium this year. Sometimes podium man, he's got to get 1.
Yeah, he always gets 1 every year. So, no, he has been really good, as you mentioned, Shaker, and consistent as well, which is what Racing Point need. And we know Sergio Perez, and it's just nice for him to have a great finish in his home Grand Prix.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to see the Mexican support for him. So happy for Sergio. In P7, a driver that had a difficult weekend in Mexico, but nonetheless still has had a good overall last 5 races, and that's Carlos Sainz in 7. And he's got 2 top 6 finishes in the last 5, and seemed like he could have had a better result here, but McLaren just didn't seem to have the race pace here in Mexico. Unfortunate with his teammate, obviously with the pit stops as well, but this is where we're kind of seeing with McLaren, right, is the car just isn't there yet. To where Carlos can finish consistently in the top 4 or top 5 even. We saw him running in 4th place for a little bit in this race, but overall I still think that Carlos in the last 5 races, he's outperformed his teammate, and he's outperformed some of the other drivers that are behind him as well, so that's why he lands at 7th.
Yeah, he did have very good defensive racing this past race. I know he couldn't keep his position, but he held up a lot of racers that were trying to get past him, so...
Yeah. You guys said it all. That was a good job.
Moving right along then to P6, a driver that has dropped from the last couple of weekends.
Yeah, he's dropped a lot since we kind of first started these power rankings.
He's dropped 2 positions.
2 positions from last week.
1 position. Sorry. One.
Max Verstappen, and I just want to mention this is for the first time in our power rankings history, the top 6 drivers in terms of who they drive for, so 2 Ferraris, 2 Red Bulls, 2 Mercedes, have taken over the top 6 positions in our power rankings.
Yeah.
Interesting.
With this movement of Carlos Sainz going down and Max Verstappen, well, he went down too, but in general, other drivers going up. So yeah, as you mentioned, Verstappen, he also had one other pole, you could say in quotations. Of course, got the 3-place grid penalty in Mexico. So he's been using the car very well. He's had a lot of bad luck, unfortunately, for Max Verstappen, and hasn't been able to come back from that luck as well. So sees him going down a little bit in our power rankings.
It's a combination, right? He has had bad luck, engine penalties as well, but then some mistakes, right? We go back to the one in Belgium, which doesn't count in the last 5 anyways, but we look at his race in Mexico, right? A little bit too aggressive at certain points. His mistake in qualifying should have lifted, admitted himself that he saw the yellow flag, so just a self-inflicted mistake there. But the other drivers ahead of him, again, they had better performances. And also, Max Verstappen was outpointed by his teammate in the last 6 races as well, which is interesting stat. So we'll see where Alex ended up ranking on our list a little bit later on. In 5th place, a comeback kid in our eyes, and a driver that was started out in our top 10, exited our rankings, and now is slowly climbing his way up back into the top 4, top 3 even, and that's Sebastian Vettel. And we look at his last couple of races, 2 podiums in the last 5, of course, had the race win as well, pole position in Japan, and he moves up 2 places this week.
Good call.
2 places. Slowly getting better. Slowly, I think the pressure's off of him, and that's why he's kind of racing au naturel.
I mean, he's
like that.
Him, Max, and Charles Leclerc are still racing for a top 3 finish and standings for the end of the season. So I could see some interesting racing coming from those 3 for the last 3 races of the season. So we'll see how it goes.
And it shows you that once the Ferrari improved the car, Vettel's more comfortable with it. We saw all along that the potential is there. It just needed to be unlocked by the upgrades Ferrari brought. And he seems a lot more at home at the car. And qualifying, too, he's made some significant gains over Charles. So it'll be interesting to see how that battle for 3rd place comes out in the championship. But only 6 points separating him and Charles Leclerc after Mexico. And in 4th place, Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, 4 podiums in the last 5 races, including a win. He's been Mr. Consistent for Mercedes in terms of the race, maybe not qualifying. But he's been fantastic, Valtteri. Kind of that perfect second teammate, perfect teammate for Lewis, perfect second driver, which he doesn't want to be, of course, but he's turning out to be that way this season.
And the way,
nothing to add.
I just wanted to add the way he recovered from the crash in qualifying as well was impressive.
Fair point.
It was very racy in Mexico. Could have maybe even had 2nd place, but good for Valtteri. And getting into our top 3 then, and the driver that I mentioned that is outscoring Max Verstappen since his Red Bull seat promotion, and that's Alex Albon, and that's his 6th straight top 6 finish. P4 in Japan obviously was his career best. Was driving in podium positions in this race in Mexico.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it didn't work out for him, but we know, yes, Max had some bad luck, had a DNF as well, but still, I think for Alex to hold himself in that 2nd position in that Red Bull seat, be able to get them a good haul of points, and they were missing that with Pierre Gasly, another driver that they could rely on for some strategy, for strategically also in the race. So I think Albon, like we said before in previous episodes, is doing enough to secure himself next year's seat.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anybody else that would make an appearance in that seat. They already
Nico
tried.
Hulkenberg.
It's
over.
I really hope he does come back to F1 because he is actually, I like watching Nico Hulkenberg race, but I don't know where he's going to end up.
Tell you where he didn't end up, our top 10 this week.
That's true.
He did drop out of our rankings.
Dropped out, yes, that's true. Probably like sitting around 11th or 12th, though.
Yeah, just out.
Yeah.
So then moving on to our final 2 positions, and we go at number 2 this week, Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, Charles gets a pole.
It was a flying lap.
Right.
in Mexico as well. Has a win in the last 5 races, and but he didn't have the greatest Mexican Grand Prix. Started off where he was in the lead for a little bit, but after the pit stop rounds, cycled back and couldn't fight his way back up to the top, and missed out on the podium, finishing P4, and had that mistake in Japan as well. So even though his kind of 3 races before that have been fantastic, his last 2 have been maybe not Charles Leclerc we've seen.
Technically, his mistake in Japan was reversed.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
He got his position back.
Still kind of made the mistake, though. I don't know.
Well, it was penalized for it,
Yeah,
of course.
for sure.
But when we look at it, he was so hot after Belgium and Italy, and he was the man to beat. But then has kind of cooled down since then, and it has a lot to do with Vettel stepping his game up as well. Mercedes also stepping their game up after Ferrari's upgrades as well. So we're still seeing Leclerc mature into the complete driver that it takes to win a world championship. He's not quite there yet, not quite there maybe to the level that Max Verstappen is at, and certainly not his teammate Sebastian Vettel. But very interesting, I think, next year if they have a car that's going to be suited more towards Sebastian Vettel's driving, like we've seen in the last couple of races. I think that battle will be very close. And like we mentioned, if Leclerc wants to get that third place in a championship, he's going to need to kind of really buckle himself down in terms of the race pace, because qualifying seems like he has that natural speed advantage over Vettel at the moment.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the race pace, and he said it himself in this race, he needs to be a bit more smarter in terms of strategy. We saw Vettel call his own shot, and Leclerc even admitted himself, which I like, that that's something I've got to work on and recognize that. So he's got a long way to go in that sense, but I think 2 is the position that we've had him at, because kind of stayed a little bit neutral in the last 2-3 races for us.
Yeah, agreed.
Agree.
That leaves us with our number 1.
Which is pretty easily revealed now. Lewis Hamilton, the about-to-be 6-time world champion. Didn't quite do it in Mexico, but only needs now 4 points, and he'll be a 6-time world champion. And listen, I mean, what more can be said about Lewis Hamilton at this point, right? But we're going to try to anyway.
Yeah.
In terms of this race in Mexico, tire management was just exceptional for him. And I know that he was questioning his team's strategy. Whether it was real or not, we don't know. But eventually made a strategy work that it didn't seem like it was going to work in the end. So managed the tires beautifully. He didn't have his race engineer this weekend, but still was able to cope with that.
The win was for Bono.
Win was for Bono. Yeah. And he was texting him back and forth on the weekend on setup changes and things like that. So Hamilton was focused. And in qualifying, he wasn't at that pace yet. It's been a while since he's had a pole position. So that's one area that he might need to work on for the rest of this season. But yeah, championship leader, about to wrap the whole thing up. That's why he's number 1.
Everything is falling into his lap quite nicely.
Fully expecting a social media post this week of him massaging some tires, by the way.
I hope so.
Like, that's just a missed opportunity. If
With Vettel in the background.
Him massaging Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah. That's kind of the way it's been in the championship, too. Vettel just kind of on the outside looking in. Yeah. But yeah, he's done great. And like you said, you create your own luck as well. And that's why he's gotten these wins and he's in this position right now. So he's our number 1.
Good job, Lewis.
Yeah.
Get in there.
Get in there, Lewis. Get in.
Well, what did you think about our list for this week post-Mexican Grand Prix? Do you agree with our new list, the new entrants this week? What do you think? Let us know down below in the comments. Always like to hear from you. Always like to differ opinions, and we sure will get a lot of them. So looking forward to that. Check out our Mexican Grand Prix recap. That's also found in the description below. It is a back-to-back this weekend, so we'll be bringing you our U.S. preview later on this week, and also we'll have our rankings post-United States Grand Prix, which will be next week. But I think that'll do it for us.
I think so.
All right. Ciao, everybody.
No.